So I'm adjusting each of the key steps to become a bedding sample, and the way I do that is to raise it until it just touches the underside of the key. Keys, as they sit on a key frame at rest, have a triangular relationship to the front rail from the balance rail and the back rail. There's a very slight triangle this way. What that means is that you can get it so that there is no tap and a little tap. Sometimes it's very little, but that gives you a triangulation when the key step is pushed against the key pin. With no tap, that's something you can recreate on the bench. And if it comes back and has a little tap, that's a way of knowing that, you could turn the key step way up, okay, it would have no tap, but it wouldn't be a good bedding sample. So what you want is exactly as you can. So if there's a tap, there's a little space. That's not good. If there's no tap, but a space when you pull the key step back, perfect. Now, I don't know if you can hear that, but that's got a little high-pitched component that goes away when it's pushed in. Okay, that's got way, big tap, right? Littler. No tap. Tiny tap. And this allows us to have a very accurate bedding on the bench. And we're going to take strike samples and the overall front rail sample before going out to the bench, but the strike samples depend on good bedding. So this gives us the good bedding that will make the strike samples give that target that we regulate to. Okay, here's the front rail sampling. I just arbitrarily choose middle E. Works well. And I've arbitrarily turned up the key step under that key, and in fact it's a bit high. And a symptom of that is that it's floating. It does not have purchase on the end keys. And by the way, I'm using key number 3 in this case because I did a sample that removed parts including the rocker action on note number 1, which I'll put together and re-show you later, but this just speeds up things, so I'm using note number 3 as my bedding sample and note number 4 as my strike sample in the bass. So this is too high, and what I want is for it to just not tap, but also not skate. Okay, that's already quite a lot better. Maybe just a little bit more. It sounds like it's tapping up here. Of course, there can be a little twist. No tap, no tap, no tap. There we are. So when we set up our bedding, this means that we can adjust the overall height of the middle bedding platform on the front rail so that this key step and key touch the straight edge when the two end keys, in this case 3 and 88, have the straight edge sitting on. Okay, I've been taking strike samples. I put my 200 gram weight on string number 4 because that is the strike sample down there at the moment. It's the only string flexible enough for the pressure of the hammer with the weight of the W&G dip tool at the front of the key that it can displace it a little bit and give you erroneous you know, slight error. Anyway, got my handy little Larry for light and my let-off tool. And I pre-set them, back them up. Well, I remove the front rail punchings, keep them in order, going from bass to treble. First of all, the bedding samples, then the strike samples. There will always be more strike samples so you can tell which is which. And if I were going to use these punchings, this is a shortcut to doing the least work. Probably I'll replace them, but anyway, I've put them in order. Okay, so I'm going to add more let-off. Now that's a little bit slow, so I'm going to put a very small amount more. It's got just a little hesitation. That's what I'm looking for to fine-tune it. And a little bit back. A little hesitation. A little back. A little bit more. It's a very fine / accurate way of doing this. And since the whole regulation depends, you know, is in reference to strike, it's rather important to have the relationship between strike and the bedding accurate out on the bench. That means the regulating you do will not be changed by going back into the piano. And that's particularly important if you're at a distance from the piano. You bring home the action, you prepare it, put it into the piano, and what you end up with is a little bit of fine spacing, but not re-regulating. Okay, now we're ready to go out to the bench. By the way, just a reminder, I have taken the leaf spring out. There were 4 screws. There was a shim behind it, which I've just wrapped in painter's tape. There's an arrow on it pointing up so that it doesn't end up like that, in case that makes a difference. And I just set it aside until the end of the regulation. Of course, I'll put it back in and check everything over at the end. But that extra pressure, you know, it's just extra friction, particularly for the outer part of the key frame. If I were having to adjust it, it would interfere with that. Also, it makes going in and out just much easier. And please like, subscribe, or follow the link in the notes to my website.